warriors chasing gold. This game's ours, it's ours to hold. One shot left, one play to run. Make it count under the setting sun. It's game time grind. All or nothing on the line. Push through the pain. Leave it all in the rain. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. We the heartbeat. Whistle blows, turf stain with ambition. Chains clank 10 yards, the mission. Fourth down, no punt, all precision. Pressure so thick, cut it with decisions. Huddle up, mind sharp like cleats. Helmet to helmet, hit a heartbeat. Blood, sweat, grind, repeat. This is where the dogs meet. Fourth and 10, no time for pretend. All in the trenches where the fight don't end. Line them up, feel the adrenaline. Fourth and 10, where the legends begin. Hands pop, echoes in the Coliseum. Crowd roars, can't fake the euphoria. Snap count, silence, eardrums, freedom. Games on the line, gladiator euphoria. 2-minute drug clock ticking away, gotta move chains, no room to delay. 50-yard dreams in zone ballet, put it all on the field, no cliche. Crunch time, no rewind, no retreat, no retreat. Fun for the moment. and
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Game Time Grind. I got my homie Steve here. What's up, Steve? How you doing, sir?
Doing. What's going on?
Not much. Mystic is playing a celebrity today. He's going to come in fashionably late, but he will be here shortly. So keep an eye out for him. I see a lot of people in chat. Make sure you hit the like button. Please hit the like button for us, right? We really appreciate that. Follow us on 4th and 10U channel. I know some of you are watching on TFTG. That's great. We're part of the TFTG network. So please come over to 4th and 10U's YouTube channel. Follow us there, right? The sooner we get to 100 followers, right? Which I think right now we're like at 50 something. Once we get to 100, we are going to have a giveaway, right? Some lucky follower is going to get a free piece of merch. Actually, I'll tell you what it is. The first giveaway is going to be a hat of a college team of your choice. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new, turn on the notification bell. Not only here on 4th and 10U, but we're also live on TFTG and we're live on X as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see several people up in here. John Featherland, Daniel Berry Sports, Michael K is here. How you doing, Michael K? Lewis, how you doing, sir? Shout out to you. I see Steve, you're in the chat too. I almost called you out and you're right here, man. I don't even need to call you out. Niner87, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you. Where's your brother? That is my question. Let's see. We got Miami's Fan Talk Show. Jokes are already in. They're saying that I look like I'm one of the Three Musketeers, Steve. I think that is very funny. Very funny. I agree, Lewis. We will get into it. Belt to ass tomorrow will happen, right? How it will happen, that is what we're going to talk about tonight. But everybody get ready. Hit the like button for me. We got 30 people watching. I want to see 30 likes. I really appreciate it. But yeah, let's get into it, Steve. Definitely, let's get this party started and let's do it right. If you saw the breaking news yesterday, Ohio State already landed a 2027 #1 overall recruit with a 5-star DJ Jacobs, right? 5-star edge. I want to say, what was he, Steve? Like 6'5", 235 pound. If you get a chance, go check out this kid's high school tape, right? He looks like a monster among a bunch of boys playing high school football. I saw him run from one side of the field to the other, chasing a running back down like it was nothing. Super fast, violent, aggressive. I like to see it. Still some room to grow. I think he can gain some more weight, some more muscle on him, but he's already massive. In addition, I do know he committed to Ohio State. However, he did say he's leaving his visitation open, right? And I kind of think that maybe he's trying to get the best deal for him, and I can't hate on him for that. I think if there's two teams that are in for him, I'm not going to lie, and it kind of goes with tomorrow's game. I think it's between Ohio State and Miami, to be honest, Steve. What do you think?
I actually agree. I think he will end up staying with Ohio State because, I mean, come on, who wants to go down to Miami? No, I'm just kidding. But much like, I mean, listen, what did Jeremiah Smith say today or yesterday, right? Like, if they were winning, I might be there, but they weren't winning when it was time to go. So he wanted to go where the winning was. So we'll see what happens. I do think he's going to stay committed to Ohio State. Even with Hartline leaving, that program's known for putting out wide receivers, and I mean, if your end goal is to get to the NFL, that's the place you go.
I know we talked a lot about it in the spaces, the Twitter spaces. They've been very hot as of recently, especially with the Ohio State and Miami game, which we'll talk about later tonight, I promise. What do you think of what Jeremiah Smith said? What are your thoughts on it? I have some personal thoughts, which I'll talk about, but I want to know what your thoughts are first.
On what he said about them being not a winning.
Essentially, the reasons why he didn't go to Miami. What deterred him. I guess about the organization and where they were at. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean, I don't think it's any secret they've been struggling to get back ever since that little controversy they had a little while back. They lost out on some stuff and it put them behind as a program. Now with where they're at, they're finally starting to get to the success that they've been wanting, but they definitely still have a little ways to go, I think, into getting they're getting good prospects. I'm not gonna say they're not getting good prospects. They are getting
very good talent. Very good talent. I think they are.
But to compete with Ohio State for wide receivers, I think they still got a way to go.
Definitely. Before we continue, our other co-host is in the back. I figured since he's fashionably late, I should give him some intro music.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damn, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it.
So, Mystic, turn up that volume.
Man? He always pulling out the stops for me. You know I'm fashionably late. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. We're already kind of talking a little about some of the news that happened today. We're talking about the Jeremiah Smith comments that happened yesterday in regard to why he chose Ohio State over Miami. Steve has some comments. I don't know if you want to reiterate to him what you were saying first, Steve, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts, but I also want to know your thoughts, Mystic.
Yeah, for sure. What you got, Steve?
No, I was just saying, I think because we were talking about the commits with Ohio State, I still think, because Ollie believes that it's between Ohio State and Miami, and I actually kind of agree with that. But for Miami to truly compete with Ohio State for especially wide receivers, they got to prove they can put more guys in the NFL from that position. Like, they've been rebuilding and trying to get back to a position to prove to these commits that, they're the school to go to, where Ohio State's still pumping guys out every single year. I mean, how many of the top wide receivers in the league right now are from Ohio State?
100%.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Steve. I think it comes down to, listen, they have a hell of a recruiting program. I can't tell you how many times my timeline is filled with this guy committed to Miami, that guy committed to Miami, you know, and they're all 4-star recruits. This past year, I want to say they got the #1 overall offensive tackle or offensive lineman you could get in the whole thing. They recruit very well. They have the past 2 or 3 seasons. My only thing that I think is really holding them back is not only the NFL development side, but also putting it all together on the field in a completed season. You've had back-to-back seasons when you know the agenda was win the ACC or bust, only to lose to SMU's and Louisville's, the last couple seasons, right? So, when you lose to teams like that and you constantly seem like you're behind the bar, so to speak, I think that kind of starts to kind of make people kind of look at your program a little bit differently. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the Miami Hurricanes program. I definitely know they treat their players right. They have a hell of a coaching staff. I like a lot of the things they do, and they're close. They just need to put it all together. I'll give you an example, right? This past season, we just saw a hell of a debate if they deserve to be in the college football playoff or not, right? Between Notre Dame and some of the other teams, people were saying they don't deserve it. And you had to have your head coach go on a national media campaign just to make sure everybody knew why you guys deserved it, right? I agree. I was on par with you guys getting in. I wanted you guys to get in. I thought you deserved it. But the whole fact that there was a debate makes me wonder what is going on in Miami that this is even a debate. And the only thing I can see in past 2 seasons, when the finish line was there, you had it in hand, only to falter to these mid-tier teams like the SMUs or the Louisvilles, right? Even Syracuse, I would argue that they were a mid-tier team last year when you lost to them. You watched Miami go up against Cal, get their ass handed to them in the first half, and it had to be like some hell of a comeback by their quarterback just to win that game, if you guys remember, right? So you have these issues. I think it's kind of like keeps a little like spot in everyone's back of their head. Like if I'm a recruit looking for my destination, it kind of makes me wonder, is this an issue for me? Is this the right fit for me? Are they going to go all in, or am I going to lose to one of these SMUs of the world, to give you an example? What are your thoughts, Misty?
Yeah, I kind of hear what you guys are saying. I think when it comes to, so I'm assuming we're basing this off of him saying he went to Ohio State based on where the program was, that kind of thing. But he said that if they were, where they were this year when he was coming out, he would have potentially went there type of stuff, right?
Yeah, essentially, he said that where they were at with their program at the time, he just felt Ohio State was the better opportunity for him. Essentially, it was something to that effect.
Exactly, which is no problem. I've already said it to people. There's no problem with maximize your opportunity with your potential. And knowing that Ohio State program was ready to compete for chips right now.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to, not to say Miami couldn't compete, we saw Cam Ward, things of that such, but I feel like the thing with Miami is like they had Cam Ward, they didn't have a defense. They have a defense, and now they have what are we going to get from Carson Beck? I feel like once they get both sides of that, once they get, boom, we got that quarterback and we have the defense,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have people, no doubt. It'll be a no doubt thing. But they didn't have all that in order, so you can't just ask a guy to use his all talent to go there and say, I'm gonna be the reason that we come back. Like that's hard to do nowadays. So I understand where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, for me, it's also if you followed Jeremiah Smith's story, right? I don't know if you know this. In Pop Warner, I think it was when he was playing Pop Warner, he got cut. They didn't make the team or something to that effect, right?
Oh wow!
used that to fuel himself. Like, how dare you cut me, to better his craft. And he became a hell of a competitor all the way from then to through high school, right? And now in the collegiate level, and it's going to happen in the NFL level. If I'm that type of competitor, because I truly rate him as one of the elite competitors in at the college level so far. I want to go to where the best are made, right? So to me, and I know people can try to argue this, but I've been in some of these debates. I can tell you, I don't think you can debate this. The two conferences, or the two conferences that have the best output when it comes to NFL talent or elite talent at wide receiver is the SEC and Big Ten. It's those two conferences, right? I personally, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe is there an elite ACC receiver that's at top of the NFL right now? Is there one that you guys can think of?
Not top of my head.
Not top of my head. I can't think of one. Maybe there is. I don't know. But most of the receivers I know by name are from either the SEC, mostly LSU's, the Alabamas. Even Ole Miss has two receivers, AJ Brown and DJ Metcalf, right? Those were like supreme receivers out of Ole Miss, to be honest. And then if it's not the SEC, it's the Big Ten. Most of them come from Ohio State, mostly, right? You look at guys, like Garrett Wilson, for example, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., right? The top leading, I don't know if he's still leading now, but he was a week or two ago, was the leading receiver in the NFL. And Jigba Smith and in Seattle went to Ohio State, right? All these guys went to Ohio State. And I just think that
Emeka Mbuka was up for Rookie of the Year for most of the season.
Emeka Egbuka, thank you very much. That was somebody I almost forgot. Emeka Egbuka, who I thought he was doing amazing at Tampa. I kind of think the last couple games, though, it's been really quiet. So I don't know what's going on there. But for me, I just think that if I'm a competitor at that level, I want to go where the best receivers are made. And he took the best option to become one of those best receivers, right, for him. And even if, and I truly believe this, and I hate to say it, even if Miami was, maybe they were headed for a national championship that year, I don't know if he would actually pick them. I really don't. I think he's a guy that wants not just the best coaching staff, but the overall best opportunity for him. And I can't hate him for that. That's just my opinion. Take it for what you will. I know people are saying I'm biased because I'm an Ohio State fan. No, I am an Ohio State fan, but if it comes down to a player, I'm a Jeremiah Smith fan. And that's what I think of him. So, yeah. All right. So, anything else any final thoughts on that before we move on to the first major topic we wanted to talk about?
I'm good, man.
You're good. All right. We're going to talk about the coaching carousel that continues, right? This is like an ongoing joke in the 4th and 10 U history. If you go back to 4th and 10's first episode we ever did, me and Mike, this has been the constant thing we've talked about almost every episode, even in going into Game Time Grind. So Michigan finally hires a head coach, right? They promised their players they would have someone hired before Christmas, and I don't even think that happened. They were late on that too. So, but they finally got their head coach. They hired former Utah head coach, and I apologize if I don't say his name correctly, Kyle Whittingham. I believe I said that correctly.
That is correct.
Kyle Whittingham's been with the University of Utah Utes. Is that what they are? The Utes?
Yes, sir.
With 177 wins and 88 losses, making him the most successful coach in Utah football history. He's 66 years old, known for his consistency, discipline, and player development, and usually has a strong defensive team, usually.
And the balls to drive up to the stadium for a championship game on a Harley Davidson wearing leather and cowboy boots.
Yeah, he got some swag, right? He got that swag with him. I kind of like this hire for them. It kind of surprised me because of news that had come out of Utah about him wanting to retire. And, I guess he didn't really want to retire. He just didn't like this direction that Utah was going in. Not that they treated him wrong from what I've read. This is what people have said. I don't know. There was some question marks about what the thoughts were there. My biggest question is, how are the players going to take this hire? Now, already one of the top wide receiver recruits, actually, let's back it up a bit. Before this hire, Michigan's, I guess their number one recruit that they had in this past class has already decommitted, right? He already decommitted and joined the transfer portal. I read the other day that one of their top receivers in their recruiting class also joined the transfer portal, right? So he's already transferring out. The biggest question, and who's on the clock right now, is Bryce Underwood, who was the number one QB recruit at the time when he was recruited to Michigan.
Yes.
Do you think he stays, or do you think he moves to a different team, like he joins the transfer portal? What do you guys think?
Unless I'm being duped, I'm pretty sure I read a report that he's actually kind of intrigued with the signing of Kyle, and I guess is actually kind of talking through basically staying there next year and being, the quarterback. That's what I read here. What I believe it was earlier today.
Okay. All right.
So,
I haven't read that yet. The last thing I saw is that the comments that Coach Whittingham had made about him, because he had a conversation with him, it kind of left it where, yeah, he thinks he'd stay, but you don't know, kind of thing.
You're in that 50-50.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. I didn't read that he said he's staying yet. If he stays, awesome, great. I hope he stays. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves either, right?
Right.
So it goes both ways. We'll see. He has till January 2nd to join the transfer portal, though. So
that's what, Friday?
Yeah, still Friday. So we'll see.
They still got to play their bowl game, don't they?
Yes, I believe they do.
The Citrus Bowl, right?
Yeah. Actually, is it the Citrus Bowl? They're playing Texas. I know that. Let me see.
From looking at.
Yes. No, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. It's called the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl on Wednesday, December 31st. That'll be the 3 p.m. game tomorrow in Orlando, of all places. They'll be in Orlando. Shit, I could go to that game and still make it back for our game. Huh. Wish I'd known that. I might have gone to that game. It'd have been interesting. I don't know. Thoughts on Michigan's hire at all? Any thoughts on that?
I like it for them. I think he will bring a very, like you said earlier, defensive mind to that program. I mean, I think Bryce ends up staying. He could enter the portal, go somewhere, but I think I read or heard the same thing. I think I read it in a post that the same thing what Mystic was saying, that was basically like, this dude's super interesting. We'll see where this goes and play my cards and see where we end up, kind of thing.
Yeah. Here's the deal. I've read a lot about this coach, and from what I understand, when it comes to the player relationships, he's really known for building like a really strong relationship and loyalty, not just loyalty from player to coach, but from coach to player, right? So I think he probably ends up staying, to be honest. I don't know, I don't really know where Bryce Underwood's mind is at this point, but I kind of think that he'll end up staying. I think this is an intriguing hire, regardless if it was expected or not. We'll see. We'll see what happens, though. I'm kind of I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens to Michigan, to be honest. So the interesting thing will be tomorrow's bowl game. Will they have enough players to even field? There was talks of them having like 25 players drop out of playing in the bowl game. Like that's a lot of players. So
tomorrow's actually going to be a really good slate of games, it looks like.
mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm so happy I'm only working a half a day. I get to watch all of this.
I took the whole day off. The only thing I'm doing is we're going to have our panel show. So if you didn't know, tomorrow we are going live to do a watch along with the Miami Ohio State game, right? We're going to go, I think I posted it for 7 p.m. We're going to go live. It's Eastern time. Make sure you guys come along. We will be dropping the link, but you guys can come up, talk college football with us, watch the game. I know there's some Miami fans that want to talk some smack up here, and that's perfectly fine. Are you guys watching this Tennessee-Illinois game right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing some back and forth things. It's crazy.
Illinois, please remind me, Mystic. I need some help. I don't know if I have dementia and I can't remember. Didn't somebody on this network talk about Illinois?
You know, it's possible. There was someone talking about Illinois.
Thank you. It was me. Now I remember. Yes, I did talk about Illinois. Look, Illinois is one of those programs that they can compete, but they just need to find the consistency. That's the problem, right? They've shown me where they can play against bigger programs and play, but they just got to get over that hump. That's basically what it comes down to. So very interesting. They're up right now, 27-21. There's about 5.5 minutes left from what I can see. Very exciting. That'll be a good game. I got to watch the highlights of that.
Do you know who intrigues me? I don't know how do I want to present this. Obviously, we're Miami fans. We talk about prospects. We bring up names. That's what this whole thing is about, right? It's just bring more light to names that are out there, right? And he always kind of intrigued me, this Luke Altmaier, quarterback for Illinois. And if you look at his career stats, I mean, he's just been consistent the last 2 years. As soon as he got into whatever system he's in now, the kid's literally been 20 plus touchdowns, 5 or 6 interceptions. Over 2,500 yards passing. I'm not sure if he's running it or not. I have to look into all that. But he just bigger quarterback, bigger guy, can probably take some hits. I mean, it looks like he rushes inside the red zone. Doesn't really have a whole lot, nothing too crazy. But yeah, I mean, potentially, he can make some plays. I don't know, just something intriguing. Maybe late round quarterback you see get picked up in the NFL.
Yep. I see somebody telling me I look orange. It has to do with my lighting. I can't figure that out later. So
we affectionately call it bronzing.
Yes, I am tan. You actually meet me in real life. I'm actually a lot tanner. So I don't know if it's my tan or my, whatever it is. It is what it is. But yeah, let's keep it moving. I know Steve has some stuff he wants to talk about his team regarding the coaching carousel. Go ahead and, bring up the names of the newest hires to the USF staff, or as Lewis likes to call it, Ohio State South. Tell me who they've got. I know there's a guy I'm intrigued with, to be honest.
Well, let's be honest. It's even getting more Ohio State South because we hired a few coaches that either were actual coaches on Ohio State staff or alumni from Ohio State. We hired 8 coaches this offseason, one being the head coach included. A new offensive coordinator that we talked about and defensive coordinator we talked about. But we also hired a defensive line coach, Terry Braden, who was a defensive line assistant for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike Hardline, who's Brian's brother, to be the QB, who the QB's coach, who was a QB's coach for Ohio State. Somebody that you like a lot, Elijah Brooks, the running backs coach from Virginia Tech, who was Bayshaw Thuton's coach when he was at Virginia, and he's the one who broke crazy. They set a bunch of crazy stats this year with 0 fumbles that you were pointing out to me earlier.
Yep.
We also got Miles White to take over as a wide receiver coach. He was Rashi Rice's coach. An offensive line coach who was he was with UNLV last year, where they became a top 20 unit in their top 20 offense in all of college sports in the nation, and was formerly with Ohio State as well. So they definitely leaned in and went and really filled this out with some Ohio State guys and guys who just have really good backgrounds in solid coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, Elijah Brooks is probably my favorite. I'm a big running back kind of guy, and he transformed that Virginia Tech room big time. You mentioned one of their top performers that they had. I don't know if you know this. They averaged like 205 yards a game as a group. And I want to say it was like 100 and here, let me actually tell you. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. It was what they averaged was 205 yards per game, which was first in the ACC, 5.34 yards per carry, first in the ACC, and 0 fumbles lost, which was first nationally, right? These are some stats that I had no idea that Virginia Tech actually held, and I'm impressed. Him getting a caliber of that, he can instill that into his offense, let alone, the wide receiver group that I know that Brian Hartline probably wants to mold mostly himself, though he did hire the guy, the former Kansas City receiver, right? Is that what he was? Or was it a Tampa Bay receiver? Miles. The
Miles
receiver.
White?
Miles White, yes. So I kind of think he wants to instill some of what he's got going on. I'm kind of excited for what you guys, are going to do there. And I'm kind of hoping for the best. We'll see what happens with the University of South Florida. Those are my thoughts. So.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Definitely interesting. Any final thoughts on the coaching carousel, Mystic or Steve?
No, sir.
All right. I was going to talk about more transfers and more commits, but we kind of combined it with this one. There's a lot of transfers, people joining the transfer window. I've never seen my Twitter blown up so much with transfer, portal, this guy is going to the transfer portal. That guy, I want to say every national quarterback in the collegiate level joined the transfer window. That's what it feels like. Don't you agree, Steve? I think it's like every week I see something.
100%. I'll answer for Steve.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, we just literally watched a 5-star recruit from Auburn, a true freshman, jump in the transfer portal. That's crazy.
Yeah, hasn't even played it down yet, and the kid's already in the transfer portal. Everybody wants to move. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, I get it when teams fire their head coaches and there's this coaching carousel going around. Yeah, players want to go to where they feel comfortable, and they may not be comfortable with the new regime that comes in. That's a possibility. But for me, sometimes you just kind of have to go with it, and make your best opportunity regardless who the coach is. And that's kind of why I think this transfer portal stuff is a little bit out of hand, to be honest.
I just read, I was looking something up because we were talking about the transfers. The DN from Utah, the All-American John Henry Daly, I think is how you say his name. They're talking that he might be heading to Michigan.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. I did hear also there was God, where was it? I read something that the two teams that were interested in Sorbsby, the former Cincinnati quarterback, was Texas Tech and Indiana. Those were two teams I heard that were most interested.
That'd be
So
crazy.
yeah, if he ends up at either one, it'll be very crazy. We'll see where he goes, though. I'm actually more interested in what the University of North Carolina is going to do. They had such a weird, bad season last season. In addition, their recruiting really didn't take off at all. Will they have anything, to show this coming up year? You know what I mean? Will they have any game to play? Is really some questions that I have.
So I'd be curious to see how that goes. Also, since we're talking about it, since good old Matt Campbell's left ISU. Remember, I told you that organization, they were going to feel that impact. Well, last I checked, and there was 23 players that have entered the transfer portal and left ISU since Campbell's left. So that team just continues to get more and more gutted as it continues. So again, back to the cauldron with Iowa State.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting indeed. This next subject I think is right up your alley. But before we get into it, everybody hit the like button. I have over 71 people watching across all networks, right? Both X and YouTube on both channels. Please hit the like button, right? Come over to @4th and 10U. It's right there at the bottom. Look us up in YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. Please follow us there. The moment we get to 100 followers, we're going to pick one lucky follower to win a college football hat of their choice. So whatever team they like, we will send them a hat on my dime. And it will be, each time we have a new feed of followers, we'll have another giveaway. So definitely look out for that. But make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you're brand new. The next thing I want to talk about, and this there was an article written, so it kind of got me thinking about it. Ranking the college football playoff coaches, right? I thought this would be up your alley, Mystic, regarding the coaches. And
like it.
Yeah, and basically, I was thinking about the coaches that are left. So we're only talking about the quarterfinal teams, right? Of who's left, how you would rank them, right? I think the hardest one for me, and actually it's not the hardest one, it's the easiest one, I think, is the Ole Miss. You kind of have to put them at the bottom, right? Lane Kiffin leaves that program, and I can't remember the coach that took over for him, but let me actually bring that up. I can tell you.
I'm with you there. He has to be, the Ole Miss drops number 8 there.
I want to say it's Pete Golding, I think his name is. Yeah, it's Pete Golding.
Yes, Pete Golding.
He takes over for Lane Kiffin. I know they won their first round matchup. Great. I just think he has to be at the bottom just because he has an unknown. He didn't have the full season under him. You don't know what he could bring, what success you could maybe gauge it off of or accolades. That's for me. He has to be the bottom. The next guy, interesting enough, that they have on their list, and this is one that I'm questioning only because what he was able to accomplish with what he had. Joey McGuire, the coach of Texas Tech, is number 7. What do you think about that? Now, let me put this in perspective. Texas Tech was 12-1. They won the Big 12 conference title. The only blemish was a 4-point road loss to Arizona, right? That's what they said. He's had 2 8-win seasons with the Red Raiders before Texas Tech broke out this past season. So that's something to think about. Has he accomplished more than the number 6? And the number 6, and I know Miami fans are going to be upset because of how low he is, Mario Cristobal. Now you think about it, Mario Cristobal Under Cristobal's leadership, the Hurricanes have a combined 12-13 in the first two campaigns. However, Miami was the cusp of the college football playoff last year before a late season slide. And even this year, though they made it, they still haven't won their conference championship the way you would think they would and should dominate. You know what I mean? Based on what the talent that they have or supposedly have.
Sure.
I kind of wonder who should be ahead. Texas Tech got the job done. They won their conference championship within the first 3 years. Mario hasn't. Do you agree with him being just ahead of Joey McGuire? What do you think?
Man, I think it's easy to argue both ways. Obviously, conference championship first 3 years, but also those first 2 years when he couldn't do it with the lesser talent. It took him to get what did we know, a top 3 in terms of how expensive this roster was for Texas Tech, or the number 1. I can't remember, but you go from not having that level of talent to getting the best talent, and then of course you got the results.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, Mario, from what my understanding, from what I hear is, they're over there. He's over there slowly. He's been building people. He's been building this thing. He's been getting his trenches. Yeah, he has his transfers, but the biggest thing about them is that quarterback position. I think is what's been holding them back this season specifically.
Yeah, if I could add in on that, and I know it's, I'll wait to say who I think should replace that. I think he's too low. I think he's shown no matter who the quarterback is, they're winning games. Like, I get the SMU stuff, and we kind of talked about it earlier. I think that happens time and time every once in a while. Like, you just overlook a team you shouldn't, and that may be a knock on him as a coach. But I think every coach that happens to every so many years, they make that one mistake. I think he's done a lot with the recruiting, and I think he's revived that program. Even though I know that some fans have issues with his late game decision making and how he handles the clock and how easily he takes his foot off the gas sometimes, but he's fully revived that school in football for anyways. I think he's a little low for me.
I hear what you're saying, because initially I thought the same thing. I was like, that's kind of low for Mario Cristobal. I think he's much better. He's a hell of a recruiter, right? He's had his hands with some of the, premier quarterbacks the last 2 or 3 seasons. And I think he has a lot to bring. I think the issue for me is he hasn't had, up until recently, this past, the Texas A&M game? I think he didn't have the college football playoff experience and win under his belt, and he hasn't provided an ACC title yet, right? Neither has Joey McGuire, though. Joey McGuire doesn't have the college football playoff experience yet. He got they got the first round bye, so this is going to be the first game that they have. Am I right, or am I wrong about that? Or did I give that mixed up? I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, right? This is going to be their first game that they're going to have, and I just think that once we see what happens, let's say Texas Tech wins their playoff matchup, right? Let's say that happens. Then it's going to be really close, man. It's going to be really close on who should be ahead of the other. I do think that beating Texas A&M was a huge accomplishment in the college football playoff for Mario Cristobal. So I'm giving him the lead as of right now. But I'm going to say Joey McGuire is not too far behind, only because of, if you looked at what Texas Tech did in the offseason and in the transfer portal, and I don't know if you've heard this rumor, but it's coming out that it's probably true, that Texas Tech has one of the most expensive rosters in college football today, right? I want to say it was like some crazy number, like $22, $23 million, something to that effect. I personally think that what they have done, he's had the first 2 seasons to kind of have those 8-8 seasons. And then he came back and, 2 8-win seasons. And then he came back and actually won the conference title. I think that's a hell of accomplishment. So it'll be very interesting. I have to see what Texas Tech does in their first game, though, of this playoff. So we'll see. We will make those picks later in the show. Stay tuned. Those picks are coming. So we will definitely talk about that. Next guy on this list, very interesting. Alabama's Kalen DeBoer at number 5. What do you guys think of that?
I honestly think that he should be probably lower on that list, if I'm being honest with you.
My exact thought.
Yeah, I kind of have Cristobal ahead of him, to be honest. DeBoer went 9-4 in his first campaign, but they, what were they, 11-3 in 2025? So that's kind of interesting. I'm going with Mario Cristobal. For me, is actually ahead of Kalen DeBoer. That's my thoughts.
100% agree. That was what I was saying. I was waiting on for the next guy because I wholly believe that Mario is a better coach than him. Like what he's done with Miami versus what DeBoer did with Alabama. I think Mario's worked with a little less and gotten more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I already feel the Ohio State hate in the chat. El Capitan has come up here and made some comments. I'm not going to post it up here, but yeah. You keep talking your smack, El Cap. We'll talk later. I kind of think that Kalen DeBoer is not as great as Mario Cristobal. I think Mario Cristobal brings more experience, more success, better recruiter. I mean, they do say that Kalen DeBoer is a hell of a recruiter as well, but you look at what he's been able to do with all that Alabama talent that they haven't been able to get it done. Now, granted, they haven't been able to get it done, so to speak, with Miami's either, but Miami, arguably, they don't have all the 5-star and 4-star recruits like Alabama does. They this most past recent season, they had the number 1 offensive lineman. I think he was the number 1 recruit at the time. They have him, yeah, but they didn't have all the Jeremiah Smiths. They didn't have all the top running backs or whatever, right? He's been able to do it like I think somebody said it earlier. He's been able to do it with lesser quarterbacks or less talent in certain positions, right? So that's why I have Mario Cristobal really in that top 5 position. That's where I have him. What do you guys think about that?
I'm with you wholeheartedly. That was my thought exactly. I mean, excuse me. I might even slide DeBoer down past Texas Tech head coach as well.
McGuire.
Dang. I kind of agree with that. It hasn't. Look at it this way. In the 2 seasons DeBoer has been there, right? He hasn't won the SEC title, right? I want to say Georgia won it this year. Who won it last year? Do you guys remember?
Off the top of my head, no, but they didn't just lose it to Georgia. They got embarrassed.
Yeah, that's my point.
Literally.
You took the thunder right from me, Steve. They got their ass. It was belt to ass. It could have been a lot worse. In fact, I will argue the Georgia did them an SEC favor by letting them score that 1 touchdown that they got. I really believe they did. They gave them a favor because they could have been a lot more than the ass whooping that they were getting, to be honest. So I agree. I actually have DeBoer under McGuire at this point. Now, the next 2 are kind of hard for me in a certain way, and I'm going to explain why. They have Dan Lanning from Oregon actually ahead of DeBoer at number 4, right? Now, I kind of agree with him being in number 4, but it's only because of who's ahead of him. Kurt Cignetti. Kurt Cignetti took the worst, or I'm sorry, I apologize if I can't say this right, Mystic, but losingest program.
Yep.
And made it one of the most successful programs in 2 seasons. It's been a 2-season turnaround, right? You had last season, they made it the college football playoff. They didn't win the Big Ten, but they got in the college football playoff, right? And then this year, you saw the number 1, number 2 matchup with Mendoza against Ohio State, which was a hell of a game. Probably one of the best games I watched this championship season, to be honest. I like Kurt Signetti at number 3, to be honest. I think that it's where he belongs.
All right.
Dan Lanning, on the other hand, hold on. Let me just give my one take and I'll let you jump in. Dan Lanning, on the other hand, is he above Mario Cristobal or not? And the reason I say this is if you look at it, he's never won fewer than 10 games. Last year, they had the college football playoffs number 1 seed, but got blasted by the eventual national champion Ohio State, and the number 8 which was the number 8 seed back then. He's had back-to-back college football quarterfinals that he's gotten to. Overall, his record is 47-7. So in Eugene. So what do you guys think? It's Dan Lanning. Do you like where he's at number 4?
So, oh man. I like Signetti at 3. Makes perfect sense to me. 100% with you. That was my point. From the worst to one of the best programs in all of college football in 2 seasons speaks for itself. Man, hot take. I think Mario deserves 4. I think when it's all said and done, Mario will be number 4.
Dang.
Can I propose a question to you and why I agree with Mystic?
Okay, go ahead.
Who had the worst program when they came in? Mario or Oregon's head coach?
Mario did.
Mario did.
The reason being is you think about it. Oregon was successful technically under Mario Cristobal, even prior to Mario Cristobal. Yes. Right? So he's had continued success, and now you're going to bring him into Miami. That's why it's taken so long, is because he had to clear out, all the trash that they had and to get them to where they're at today. Not saying, and I know Miami fans are like, oh, how dare you call my team trash, whatever. I'm not doing that. But if you go back to even, I want to say last year, not this season, but the season prior, wasn't that defense one of the worst defenses they've ever had? Right? That's what I was told. I was told that was the worst defense they had, and that's why they lost the Pop-Tart Bowl. Right? Yep. And even prior to that, prior to the quarterback that they had some washed out Ohio State transfer and somebody else, Van Dyke or somebody, that was garbage. I mean, it was horrible. So that being said, I kind of agree. Mario Cristobal has had the harder run than what the coach of Oregon has had, right? That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And that was the point I was going to make. Mario literally took a piece of coal and has squeezed it into a rough diamond.
Mm-hmm.
I think that earned you the edge out. And I have the list. I found the list I think you're looking at. I'm going to have a hot take here in a minute. But for this one right here, I do believe Mario Cristobal should be at least number 4.
Kind of agree. In a weird way, I kind of agree with that. Give me 1 second before we go to the next person. Just bear with me 1 second. Well, I already told you who number 3 is, and that's Kurt Signetti. I agree with it. What he's done with that Indiana program, he put him back on the map. He made Indiana a football state. I really like what he's done there. He doesn't just doesn't just talk the talk. He's actually showing it on the field and making a believer, not just his players and his program. He's making a believer out of the fans and the community in Indiana, right? You think about it. Indiana isn't just, inspiring the Indiana fans, which those fans, if you see how they talk, they're nuts. They're really nuts right now, right? I want to say, and this is a hot take, I'll say that inspiration is leading over into the NFL side, because you see a lot more Indianapolis Colts fans inspired, right? And the fact that technically both teams have done stuff that they haven't done in, I want to say, decades. You know what I'm saying? It's at least it feels that way. I think that's really inspirational. I like what he's doing at that program. I like him at number 3. And even to kind of give you some tidbits about what they said, he's back-to-back college football playoff appearances. He's the number 1 overall seed this year. Indiana went 13-0, claimed the Big Ten title, which is a hard feat of its own. I think he deserves number 3 hands down. Any thoughts on that?
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Kind of. Okay. Well, number 2. This is very interesting. And this one I kind of understand, but I don't necessarily agree. And I'll explain why. Ryan Day is number 2 on this list. Let's break it down for you. Ryan Day, who took over, he coached 4 seasons I'm sorry, not 4 seasons. I take that back. He coached 4 games while Urban Meyer was the head coach when he was serving a suspension. And he won those games, had a hell of a start. And, since then, he's been 82-11 is his overall record. Let me explain that again. 82 wins, 11 losses overall. He won a national championship last year. Ohio State went 14-2. The only loss in 2025 so far was the Big Ten title game with Ohio State, right? You look at not just the wins on the field, you look at the amount of talent and amount of recruiting and players that he's brought in and year out. It's remarkable what he's done in a short time, to the point where some people in the media, right? Even Nick Saban, the GOAT of college football, has made claims that if Ryan Day wins the national championship this year, he is now in legendary status. Again, this comes from Nick Saban, the GOAT of college football, right? So it's hard to argue that. They have Kirby Smart at number 1. And the reason I kind of understand why they have Kirby Smart at number 1, I think he's been the head coach there a little bit longer, but he has 117 to 20 record, right? And if you really look at it, if for whatever reason the rate that Ryan Day has won games, if he duplicates it, right, there's a point where Ryan Day could be 164 and 22, right? So it's going to be very interesting. But one thing they do have at Georgia that Kirby Smart has is 2 national championships. So if Ryan Day is able to accomplish a second, national championship, I think it's going to be very interesting and very close on who you debate between Kirby Smart and Ryan Day. But those 2 guys, I will argue, are some of the best of the best of college football's head coaches at this time. I know Cignetti has done a remarkable job in 2 seasons, but just like how where Ryan Day was getting knocked down a bit, Mystic, the last couple seasons because he couldn't beat Michigan. We were getting so close to winning national championships, but we never could do it. He finally got over that hump, right?
For sure.
I kind of see a similar pathway that Cignetti is going to go through, right? I hate to say it. I know Indiana fans are probably, writing the comments under this show how horrible a co-host I am or however horrible YouTuber I am by saying this. I don't know if Cignetti has what it takes to coach. I mean, not necessarily coach, but lead his team into a national championship yet. Not saying he can't get there, but I think he might have to take a similar route that Ryan Day did to kind of learn his dues and learn what he needs to overcome yet. But who knows? If he comes out and just wins the national championship, then there goes my argument. Who knows? Maybe he can't. What are your guys' thoughts? I just think Ryan Day at number 2. I understand why they say he's number 2. But I think closer than you think with Kirby Smart is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I think I agree. I agree with the list. I think the list is good. And I think it's a fair assessment to say that Day is close to Smart. But I also think it's safe to say that Signetti is getting close to Day. I do think that is a fair assessment as well. I think if you Google the guy, you see he's a winner. That's all I know. I think Signetti's going to have something to say with this Indiana squad when it's all said and done. I don't know. There's something different about the guy. How he has his teams prepared. There's just a fire that they all just want to just play for 60 minutes, give their heart, the best they possibly can, the best effort. We'll see. We'll see if it's enough.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy, man. But I don't know. Signetti, there's something about the guy. I mean, like we talked about, to go from one of the worst programs to have one of the best programs. I mean, that's all telling about a leader of men and what his leadership looks like.
Definitely, 100%, man. It's very hard. The top 3 was very hard for me to figure it out. For me, I had to go by accolades, right? Both Kirby Smart and Ryan Day, national championship winner head coaches, right? I understand Kirby Smart had the back-to-back, so that's why he has the lead. But if Ohio State matches that, let's just say hypothetically, if that were to happen this season, which who knows what's going to happen, I'm still trying to be humble about it because I do have some concerns. There are some concerns, to be honest. But
you're saying you're concerned about that game tomorrow? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, I didn't say about the game tomorrow. We still have a national championship to win. There's a lot to go up against. Look at it this way. That Georgia defense looked really menacing against that Alabama team. I'm just going to point that out. And I have the confidence my team can handle it, but that's still what they did to Ty Smith or Simpson or whatever. It did kind of scare me a little bit. It did a little bit, but we'll see. And to be 100% fair, I have back-to-back. I don't want to call it revenge games. I want to say the Georgia game is a revenge game for Ohio State if we win tomorrow. But tomorrow is a game about just clearing the story and setting it straight. That's what it's about, right? Because I'm sick and tired of hearing the Miami fans say that we cheated. We didn't cheat. You play the game. A win's a win, regardless of how it happens. Even if the referees made a faulty error, the game still stands. It doesn't change the record books. It doesn't change the score. Nothing changes, right? You still handed the trophy. And it's something that happened over 20 years ago, and they're holding it as a grudge. So for me, I have to set the story straight. I hope it's a clean game. I'm hoping these refs don't do anything to screw it up, and the best team win. That's what I want, because I want this story to end, right? When we win, because I do have us winning, a little sneak peek to our next topic, then I have to go up against, which I'm going to argue, I'm going to go ahead and give you my pick now, is going to be Georgia. Georgia wins their game, right? And I think it's going to be a rematch of that semifinal game with Georgia, where Ohio State was spanking that ass until they knocked out Marvin Harrison in the back of the end zone, right? You watch that play where he gets knocked out. That's where the game completely changed. So, it is what it is. I just want my revenge on that game. So I'd like to play them again. So we'll see what happens. But any final thoughts on the rankings before we continue?
Yeah, I want to weigh in because I might have a little bit of a. It's not the more y'all were talking, the less crazy it sounds. I think Cinetti has a real, especially after the game, he outcoached Ryan Day. It's on the field. He outcoached him. In the big moments, his team came out on top. Now you can say, well, quarterback made the difference. Quarterback made the throw on third down at the biggest. That goes to coaching. He was able to keep his guy and put him in the right position. Now, Ryan Day, at the end of the day, has the more accolades, like you said. So that's why I said ish on the third. Ryan Day has the more accolades, so I don't have an issue with 2. But Cinetti took a program who was the least successful to the most successful. Ryan Day walked into Ohio State that was known for putting out top prospects and getting, and it's not a knock on him. I'm not saying it's a knock, but if you're going coach for coach, and I guess it's more of what you were saying about, well, you have concerns about when it comes to winning the national championship. Can Cinetti put his foot into the ground and finish through that? I think he showed in the game against Ohio State, who were the 2 best teams in all of college sports. He had no problem putting his foot to that gas and pushing it through when it mattered.
Can I rebuttal a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Again, like that's why I said it's going to be a crazy, wild take. But
all right, so I'm going to rebuttal just a little bit. First of all, the reason Ryan Day kind of has the lead is the same reason why Kirby Smart has the lead, because though Curt Cignetti has been able to do that, he's done that in 2 seasons, right? Ohio State under Ryan Day has been consistently successful and has had several college football playoff appearances, right? So I need to see, before I can solidify what you're saying, 1, they have to win it all, right? And number 2, they have to kind of show me that they can do it again the next year. Now, this is something that has been unheard of. Not really unheard of, I want to say, but my next take is something that you don't see very often, where a team that is competing for a national championship, right, had to replace not just their offensive coordinator, but their offensive coordinator twice in the same season, right? And then the following season, not only had to replace the offensive coordinator again, they had to replace their defensive coordinator as well, right? And this has been in back-to-back seasons. Last year, we hired the former Texans head coach, Brian O'Neill, I believe it was, right? We had hired him. The Boston College job became available, and he took off. He was with us for 2 weeks and then took off to Boston College, right? And then we hired Chip Kelly, won the national championship, right? 3 days after winning the national championship, the defensive coordinator decides to become the highest paid defensive coordinator and go to Penn State. And you look how that turned out, right? Jim Knowles, right? And then we bring in Matt Patricia. And now we have arguably what I think you saw the ranking earlier was like number 2 defense, something like that. It's something ridiculous.
Indiana was number 1. You were number 2.
Yeah. Right. You look at that. And to be able to provide, not only did we performed at a level to be that ranking, we lost a lot of talent over the last 2 drafts, especially on the defensive side. We lost a lot of people. Right. So you look at that, and that you have players that are able to come in and perform at such a high level under a whole new head coach. It's a lot for, or not the whole head coach, but no whole new coordinator. It's a lot for a head coach to kind of settle things down. But here's the other flip side. You said that Ryan Day got outcoached. Was it Ryan Day's fault that the 35-yard field goal was missed?
I mean, that's fair, but also
let's just, we're playing. I'm just to finish my point here, and I'll let you interject. You can cover everything I talked about. Okay. You look at Ryan Day versus Cignetti. Both of them were playing chess, real life chess on the field, right? Ryan Day moves his pawn, Cignetti moved his pawn, and back and forth. Ryan Day actually scored the touchdown first, right? And with that dump off pass to the tight end, right? That we saw. Then it came down to where we just needed to get 3 points. We probably would have went into overtime, probably. And a basic 35-yard field goal that you make all during the regular season, that field goal kicker misses it completely, right? I don't really put that on Ryan Day. The fact that Cignetti showed them things that they hadn't seen before, right? And they were able to move around. In fact, in that second half, Ohio State actually looked better. They were driving down the field. They just couldn't get the red zone figured out. And that's really kind of on Brian Hartline, not so much on Ryan Day, right? And you also have to think about that same week was the week that Brian Hartline got announced as the USF new head coach. And all that craziness. Remember, there was 2 top wide receiver recruits that we had in the bag that were announcing that day, and they decided to hold off. Chris Henry Jr., you remember, right? You had all that shenanigans going on in the same week. It's a lot to take on. And the fact that the game was still this close, I get it. I highly rate Cignetti a lot. I definitely think he's gained ground on Ryan Day. I'm not quite yet ready to say that he's either equal or surpassed Ryan Day yet, saying that he's outcoached him. Because honestly, I don't know if he has yet. That's my final thoughts. Go ahead, Steve. I know you want to rebuttal.
No, and it's not even a big rebuttal. Like, you can't blame him for a missed field goal. Like, you can't. Like, that is what it is, right? Those things happen.
That was the difference of the game. To be honest, that's what ended the game, is that missed field goal, to be honest.
I get that, but also Indiana's quarterback made more plays. I know the stats are similar. I get that. But late in the game, he made more plays when it mattered most. And I put that towards the head coach. Like, again, there's just something for me. And again, that's why I said it was a crazy take, and I can be absolutely wrong. I'm the baby of college sports here, right? Of the three of us. But there's something to giving extra credit for me for a guy who walked into a program like what we said with Mario Cristobal earlier and took nothing and turned it into a diamond. Like, it doesn't take away from what Day has done. That doesn't mean just because you walk into a great organization or a great program that you're great because they're great, because we see it all the time. If you're not a great coach, you're going to drive that bus right into the ground. And Day didn't even come close. He made it better. So he gets that credit. But for me, especially this year, Cignetti did something that's really hard to do, and that's take a program and establish it as one of them ones in college. I'm not, again, that's why I said, like, I was fine with him at 3-ish, because like what Mystic said, it's close. And that's what I agree with that statement, that it's getting close. Day's fine being ahead for me. I agree with that part of the list, but it's really close for me.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. I get it. Look, listen, I love Cignetti. I think he's done a hell of a job. I think he's going to continue to be that job. And regardless if you've seen rumors on Twitter about how the Giants want to interview him or have interviewed him or whatever, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to interview him. I can tell you, I could see him becoming the next Ryan Day type of head coach. You know what I mean? Where you're going to see that continued success in building that program. I think it's great. I love it for the Big Ten, not just for Indiana, but for the Big Ten in whole. I've argued that the Big Ten has gained a lot of ground on the SEC, and even our mid-tier teams are starting to get some real big name hires. There was a hire I forgot to mention, Mystic. Did you see who Northwestern hired?
I was just reading about this.
I said it to you earlier.
Yes. Chip Kelly got hired as the new offensive coordinator for Northwestern. That is a hell of a hire, in my opinion. The fact that he went to Northwestern, it kind of makes me wonder, does he really like he wants that challenge? Is that what he's looking for?
That'd be
So
awesome if that's the case. It's gonna spark my interest next season for sure. I'll peek in every so often and see what's going on.
yeah. So listen, any way to make these mid-tier teams become better, right? Maybe it's a head coaching hire, NIL deals and all that stuff. I think it's great for the sport, but also great for the conference. And it really starts to bring more competition. And that's one thing I like about the Big Ten now. It's not just the Ohio States and Michigans, right? Now you got Ohio State, you got Michigan, you got Oregon, you got USC, you got Washington that's starting to become better, and you got all these teams, vying. Penn State, if you win a year ago today, after the national championship game, right, that got played, not a year quite, but almost a year ago today, Penn State was touted that everyone thought they were going to be the next national championship, that they would be contending for a national championship game, right? That's what was said. So that being said, it's really interesting. It is very interesting where college football is leading. The head coach rankings are, it's really interesting going back and forth. Looking one more at this list, you got 3 Ohio State coaches on this list, right? Then after that, you have how many SECs? 1, 2, 3 SECs head coaches on this list, only to be ended with ACC and the Big 12. ACC just has 1. So, and Big 12 has 1. So it's really interesting. I loved ranking, talking about the rankings. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to the next topic?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. Before we continue, this is groundbreaking for me because this is very big for me, and I appreciate everybody that has come out. We have 112 people watching on all fronts. If you're on X watching at home, come over to YouTube. You can either come to the TFTG or at 4th and 10U, preferably at 4th and 10U, because that's the channel we're trying to grow. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. I want to see everyone hit the like button. Really appreciate it. If you're looking for the link in the description, if you're on YouTube, if you look at the description, I have the link of our channel there. You can find it. Some of you have asked for it in the chat. I appreciate everyone coming out. This is a huge turnout. We really appreciate it. But let's get down to business because there is more stuff that we need to talk about. And it's about these matchups that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Cotton Bowl first. That's the game everybody wants to hear about. We're going to talk about it. We'll talk about some quick games for the other games that are going to be played on January 1st as well. And maybe we'll talk some more bowl games that are out there. Before we get into it, though, Mystic, is there an update on that Tennessee game versus Illinois? I'm curious.
Yes.
What is the
Illinois won.
Illinois won. So big win against the SEC. Big Ten takes a win. Last year, remember, if you go back in history and look at last year's bowl games, the Big Ten was kind of hitting the SEC. I believe Michigan beat Alabama. That was a big game, if memory serves me right. So Tennessee losing again to a Big Ten team. Very interesting. Shout out to Illinois and the Fighting Illini.
Big Ten is currently undefeated in bowl season play.
Who is undefeated in bowl season?
The Big Ten.
Yeah, they're currently undefeated. Damn.
It was a last-second field goal, 28-30.
Love to see it.
Yeah. I have to go back and watch that game. That's something I definitely need to watch. But let's talk about this Cotton Bowl, right? A lot of people automatically think I'm all in. Ohio State's going to win. I'm going to talk all this smack and show bias, but I'm going to give you a realistic take. Yes, I do think Ohio State can and will win this game. That's what I think. I think it's going to come down to the trenches, right? I've heard all week long that Miami has this defensive line that is unstoppable. They're telling me they have a better defensive line than Ohio State. Well, I think it's closer than you think, right? Caden Curry, hell of a defensive end, right? We saw that hit he put on Mendoza in the Big 12 game, or I'm sorry, the Big 10 championship game. If he hits Carson Beck that way, does Carson Beck get up? I got a question. That's a question for the panel. Do you guys think he gets up? Are you guys really thinking about it, or you guys can't hear me?
I was waiting to see if Mystic was gonna say. I think he gets up, but man, that was a hella hit. I ain't gonna take from
Right
that.
off the get-go, too. Right off the get-go, and he gets hit like that. I was like, oh shit, did they just take the game away? You know what I mean? Because he was on the ground for just a minute. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you think about that, Mystic? Do you think if Carson Beck gets hit like that by Caden Curry, the defensive end, does he get up? Does it affect the game at all?
I think he excuse me. I think he gets up, but I definitely think it speeds up his processing and causes him to make some mistakes.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he'll get up also. But I think that is one of the keys that Ohio State has to affect this game is get into Carson Beck's head and pressure him as quickly as you can. And the reason for that is, granted, I know Malachi Tony is probably one of the main targets you want to take away, but if you can get to Carson Beck just as easy, I think it's going to affect the game in a sense of, get in his head. He'll start be making these weary throws, maybe even some of the picks that you saw versus SMU's or the Louisville's and teams like that. That's, I kind of think, is a key to winning this game. What are your guys' thoughts on the defensive line on both teams? We have Ruben Bain, for example. What are you guys' thoughts on them? Who do you think has the advantage on the defensive line?
Ooh, interesting. I think each line has a, what do you want to say, a quote-unquote game breaker, if you will. I mean, obviously you got a Ruben Bain on one side, you got Caden Curry on the other side. I think both guys are absolutely capable of making big plays and disrupting the offenses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to go one way or the other. I really think that might be a very evenly matched group, in my opinion. When you break it down, defensive line, linebackers, and you're comparing teams, I think the D line are pretty much. I mean, they're one of the best units for both of these teams. Don't get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think they're both equally as dominant. Like, I'm not sure I can say Ohio State's better than Miami, and I don't think I can say Miami has a better D-line than Ohio State because of how, like I said, they both can take over games and absolutely just they can give you a long day at the shop. We'll just call it that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I think it's going to come down to the trenches, right? The defensive line of both teams are very, very strong. In some cases, versatile. I think it's going to come down to the defensive coordinators and what they do to try to confuse the opposing offenses. Matt Patricia is going to give you a lot of NFL looks when it comes to the defense, right? With the use of Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, and I know this is Steve's new favorite player. Steve cannot stop talking about this player as of today, Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles, go ahead and read the stat you have, the crazy stat that came out today, Steve. Go ahead.
13 games, 81 tackles, 0% missed tackle rate.
The guy has a 100% tackle rate, 0% missed. That is crazy, right? Sonny Styles is dynamic. I've seen him in coverage. I've seen him, stop the run. Caleb Downs, he's going to be able to stop the run as well. He's excellent in coverage as well. He can play virtually anywhere in the secondary, in my opinion, and not just at a good level. I will argue that it's an elite level, right? But what they do, right, to disguise what they're gonna do. Are they may look like they're bringing pressure from one way, and really the pressure's coming from another, right? They're going to be spying Carson Beck. I think they have a plan to stop Malachi Tony and make the team one dimensional. They're going to force you to run, and this team has one of the best run defenses in the country, right? That's what I think is going to happen. Now, when it comes to the offensive line in Miami's offensive line is really good. Don't get me wrong. Both teams have great offensive line. I will say that I would say Miami's is probably a little slightly better. You got a hot mic, Mystic. You're laughing. Are you laughing at my take?
No, of course, my kids are just ran in the rec room over here laughing. Sorry.
No, it's all good, bro. It's like, damn, is he laughing at what I'm saying? It's all good.
My bad, man.
No, you're all good. You're all good. But no, for real though, I think that it'll be very interesting what happens. I think the defensive lines in this game are going to make the big difference. Whoever can be more successful in the game, I think, is what is really going to drive where this game goes. I do have it being a closer game. I'm going to go ahead and say 24-17. That's kind of what I think is the difference that's going to be made. A lot of people out there are, if you look at the points, they're really thinking that Ohio State's going to come and roll it. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. Let's not forget, Miami has a chip on their shoulder, but so does Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't like going into playoffs losing a game. We saw what happened last year when they lost to Michigan. That's a complete different team. And the belt to ass that they gave in the quarterfinal against Oregon, can they repeat that performance? I know Jeremiah Smith has made some comments in the media, in regards of where he would have gone if things were different and whatnot. But I know Jeremiah Smith doesn't want to get schooled either at a big stage. And I think he's going to come out swinging. So for me, still, regardless of what happens at receivers, because I'll go ahead and give Ohio State the edge at receivers. Even Miami fans will do that. Come on, it's Jeremiah Smith, arguably the best wide receiver in all of college football. On top of it, you got Carnell Tate. You also have Brandon Inniss, another Florida boy, right? Those guys, those are the best. Those guys are all 5-star recruits, all of them, right? And then you look at the running game. The running game, I give a little bit of the edge to Miami. I do. Just because their offensive line is just a little bit better. I would say that if you're looking at the running backs, I believe his name is Fletcher, I think is the running back that Miami has, versus Bo Jackson. I think Bo Jackson's slightly more athletic. He's not as big as Fletcher, but it's really going to come down to the offensive line and what space they bring. But I do think this is going to be more of a defensive game. There's going to be points on the board, but I think Ohio State wins it, in the end. I think they have the experience, and they have something I haven't really brought up yet. But I want to get your guys' takes, and then I'll give you my final take on why I think Ohio State will win. Who wants to go next?
Oh, it don't matter either way. So, funny enough, I just wanted to look up some numbers just to make sure I was looking at things correctly. And offensively, Ohio State has the 25th pass offense, and obviously they're 63rd in rushing. And Miami's 31st in passing and 76th in rushing. So they're not far off. Points per game, about the same thing. You got Ohio State at 8 points. You got Miami at 13 for their defenses. So you got one team in Miami averaging 32 a game. Ohio State averages 34 a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, it's close. It's going to come down to who's going to step up in those big moments. I don't know if now is a good time for me to give you all my hot takes on this, but to your point, all the things we've seen Matt Patricia do for your Ohio State team, I think it's going to come down to, I think Matt Patricia finds a way to confuse Carson Beck enough at certain times. It allows the rush to get home, and or he's going to flip up some coverages post snap, and Carson Beck is going to make that interception. That is going to be the difference in that game. And I do have Ohio State winning 28-17.
28-17. That's big. Okay, I'm going 24. You're going 28. I like it. I'm actually surprised, Mystic. I didn't know if you would go with Ohio State, but then again, you are a Midwestern boy like I am. So
I got, I like to have my good, my good clean takes. I base it off of things that I see. I think Miami is a good team, but I think two of the best teams that are in this playoff is Ohio State and Indiana. I really do. Obviously, Georgia's a really good defense, but I think Indiana is a very good team.
Definitely. What do you think, Steve?
So I went and double checked my numbers, and I was wrong earlier. So Ohio State has the number 1 total defense. Miami's number 4.
Oh,
They are just a hair better at creating turnovers than Ohio State is. Miami is better. They pass far more on first downs, or they create first downs by passing more than Ohio State does. Ohio State's almost 50-50 in how they create their first downs. Miami is where was it? I just looked at it. First
I do have a follow-up question with your stats, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. They get a first down 8.4% of the time, or at a rate of 8.4 passing versus 6.2. So they lean heavy on their passing, and like I told you earlier, this game's going to come down to the quarterback play, but mainly if Ohio State takes away Malachi Toney, what does Carson Beck do? And I think we saw with the Texas game, the Texas A&M game, they can take away Malachi Toney. If they could do it, what can Ohio State do with that? However, I think Ohio State might put too much on trying to take away Toney and leave themselves open. I do think Miami ends up winning this game, but it's going to be a slug fight. I don't even know a score. 13-16.
So you have 13-16 Miami is what you have.
Yeah.
Very interesting. The Florida boy goes to Florida. Okay. I don't know where you're from exactly, Steve, but I'm just kidding. I just know you live in Tampa area.
No, you're 100%. It's the Florida boy goes Florida.
I get you. All right. Midwestern boys versus the Florida boys. Okay. So my question for you, only because I am interested in what separates Ohio State versus Indiana. What was Indiana's overall ranking with their defense? Because I thought you said that Indiana was like number 1 and
Indiana's number 2. I had you flipped.
Okay, so Indiana's number 2. Okay, so It still stands the same. What the margins of difference between these teams when it comes to their defense is very little. What I think is going to come down to this game goes back to Matt Patricia and his football IQ, but it also is going to go down to the football IQ of the players on the field. You have and I'll call him the field general because he has commanded his defense this kind of way. Caleb Downs is that kind of football IQ guy that I think is going to make a difference in this game. Guys like Sonny Styles that, if you've just played law of averages of his tackle win rate and all that, they're going to make the difference, right? I think it's going to come down to who makes the first mistakes and who plays the better defense. I think that's what's going to happen in this game. So it's going to be close. I still think it's 24-17. Ohio State wins. But, Miami might make it closer. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. So, but you guys heard it from us. Two of us think, me and Mystic have Ohio State winning. Steve is going with Miami. What are you guys' thoughts? Put it in the chat. Put it in the comments below. Who do you guys think is going to win the Ohio State matchup? And again, I'm advertising it. If you guys didn't hear, we are going to have a watch-along live show tomorrow during the game. We'll be dropping a link. You guys can come up, talk college football with us and everything. It's going to be a good time while we're watching the game. I know some of you fans want to come out and talk some smack. We will see. We shall see.
Niner has the Hurricanes winning 24-21.
Niners. Okay. A very interesting Niner. Very, very interesting.
I got a Midwest boy on my side.
You might want to see what he eats for lunch, Mystic, and make sure he gets corrected. You know, whatever proper diet he needs to understand. Oh, he just ran. Look at that. You went to go talk to him. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Look, this game is going to be crazy, right? We lost you for a moment there.
Hey, it's not the show if it doesn't happen, right?
That's right. Lewis, I'll do this for you. He says OHIO. That's right. Ohio will win the game. You heard it from me.
Hey, look at that. We got a Florida boy on our hands. What's up? Oh.
Yeah. Not only just a Florida boy, a guy who lives in the Tampa area, Steve. What do you got now?
I ain't got none. I got me.
I like that. Shout out to Lewis. If you guys don't know, Lewis has his own YouTube channel, him and Tony. Go check out the Blitz Pickup. And don't forget about Jess. Give her love too. She's part of the Blitz Pickup as well. It's not just Tony and Lewis's channel. And there's a guy named Alex that never shows up as well. Like,
he's been on vacation.
What happened? What did you say?
I said he's been on vacation. I don't know where he got all these hours from, but
yeah, he's on furlough right now at this point. Oh man. Anyway, let's talk about some of these other games. Now that we already kind of got the main game out of the way, that's going to be probably one of the most. I will say this, right? Ohio State games and even Big Ten games generally are some of the most watched games in college football, right? So, so Hurricane fans, ACC fans, get excited because it's going to be one of the most watched college football playoff games this season. And you heard it from me. It will be because it always is. If Ohio State's involved, it doesn't matter what other team is going to be there in this atmosphere. It's going to be probably one of the most watched games. All right, let's move on to some of these other games that are happening. Actually, January 1st, we have Oregon and Texas Tech.
Man.
Damn, I know you want Oregon to win this game bad, Mystic, but I think this game's a lot closer. I think Texas Tech has a chance.
Look, if you don't mind, may I?
Yes, please.
So I'm just gonna start out. Obviously, we know this was my dark horse. Looking at this game, I understand the beast that is Texas Tech with this offense. I mean, I called it Big 12 championship. Like, if you do not come out, set the pace, make sure you have the offense rolling to match this Texas Tech offense, it's a long day at the shop. I'm still sticking with Oregon because that's what I do. I stick with my takes, but this game does worry me that Texas Tech could get going and Dante Moore could have that moment that everyone's thinking is going to happen. He could have that off game that could cost him. We'll see, but I'm still going to pick Oregon in a close one. It's going to be a shootout, though. I think these offenses go off. I think we see a 42-35 final.
Offensive blowout type of game where it's just offense is what you're saying.
100%.
Very Dante Moore. I will say this. Dante Moore is playing for his NFL career in this game. So I won't be surprised if Oregon brings out all the stops. They're going to run the ball. They're going to have dual threat Dante Moore passing, running, Triple option might be a thing. It's going to be all over the place, right? So it'll be very interesting. I kind of, man, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. It could go Oregon's way, but I kind of have. I'm going to tell you this: you don't pay for the most expensive roster in college football without expecting a win, right? I'm going to say Texas Tech wins it. I'm going to say 35-31. No. I'm sorry. 35-33. That's my final score.
I like it.
All right. Here we come swinging. I think Oregon comes out swinging hard, and Dante Moore puts on a show. Just like I said, he was going to put on a show last time. Not going to say last week, but last time I said he was going to put a show on, and he put a show on. He's going to put another show on. 34-15, Oregon wins. He is looking to somehow supplant Mendoza. And I don't think he will ultimately overall, but I think he comes out swinging. I tend to like him a little more than I think some people do. I like Dante Moore a lot. I think he's very cold in the pocket. So, yeah. 34-15, Oregon.
Very interesting. I do think there's going to be a lot of offense. I think it's going to be an offensive game. The question will be which defense can slow the other team down just enough to win the game. That's going to be the biggest question in the game, to be honest. If you don't know, the Red Raiders, they have an air raid offense. That's what Texas Tech has always been known for. The Big 12, I will say, is an offensive league. It's an offensive conference, right? Those teams have some of the best offenses you'll have. That's where guys like CeeDee Lamb came from, for example. So it'll be really interesting what happens in that game. Next game, Alabama versus Indiana. And I have a hot take for this one. Go ahead. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I'll jump out here. I got this too. I'm liking it. It's gonna go right into the narratives of what we got going on, leading to the draft, leading to the next NFL season. Obviously, not everybody, on the panel. We just kind of have, odd man out Ollie, pick Texas Tech, but the other two of us, oh, I think Indiana gets this victory. I think they take care of business. I think the defense smothers Alabama. We've seen Alabama's offense have times where they just struggle to get going. I think this defense puts them down, doesn't allow them to get back into it. Mendoza has a solid game. I don't think nothing too flashy from him. I think he manages the offense, nothing too big, nothing too low. And I think you see them win 28, probably 28-14.
Okay. All right.
The reason why I said that is because then that would set up Mendoza versus Dante Moore if Oregon wins in the next round.
Very interesting. I do want to say that though I was the lone one on this panel that took Texas Tech, Niners took Texas Tech as well.
Nice.
Just so you know, spice. I'm going to put some salt on that wound. In addition to it, I'm going to go ahead and say this. The last time I bet on Oregon, I lost. That was versus Indiana. And I'm not making that mistake again. And second, the last time I bet against Texas Tech, I lost. I ain't betting against Texas Tech again. Sorry, not going to happen. I am going Texas Tech wins that game. I was hot on them before the season even started. When I first started this channel, I talked about how I thought Texas Tech was going to do some stuff. I think Texas Tech gets it done. In addition to the Indiana game, and I know Steve wants to go, but I'm going to go ahead and go first. Indiana is going to give belt to ass against Alabama. I'm going to tell you right now. What you saw against Oklahoma, you thought it was kind of a redemption of what happened against Georgia. No, Georgia has a closer defense to what Indiana has than what Alabama saw against Oklahoma, right? I'm going to tell you straight up, it's going to be belt to ass. And I think Alabama is going to get kind of embarrassed by Indiana. That's how high I'm on Indiana in that matchup. I'm going to go ahead and say it, 42-24 Indiana. Hot take. Go ahead, Steve. Match that.
All right. I'm less subdued on that one. So here's my issue. Last time I bet against Alabama, I lost horribly. I didn't think Alabama was going to win. They won. However, the Cuban Missile is on Indiana. They have the better defense. I think they have the better offense. This is going to be a close game because I do think Alabama is playing with a chip on their shoulder. They are pissed, and they want their get back on Georgia. Somehow. That being said, I think Indiana wins 32-28.
Did you hear that?
Bomb drop.
A train wreck.
That was the Cuban missiles being shot and exploding once they hit the end. So I'm sorry, Indiana's winning that game. They might as well call the police because it'll be a murder scene.
They just shot that take out of the sky. All right.
Look. For me, I cannot see Indiana going out without a fight in this game. They did not get this far just to lose in the quarterfinals. I can see them maybe in the semifinal losing the game, but I'm sorry. I really think that they're going to. I think that game, that SEC championship game, like the Hurricane fans like to say, we already seen the blueprint. We know how to win. Well, I can tell you Cignetti didn't need the blueprint, but it's out there. And you could see if you bring pressure to Ty Simpson, he's going to fold. That's what Florida State did in the first game of the season, right? I can't forget that game, right? That's what Oklahoma did when Oklahoma beat them during the regular season. So for me, I just don't see Alabama winning that game. I think Kurt Cignetti and Mendoza and the athletic talent that Indiana has, they have a couple receivers that are really good, and I think they're going to take advantage. And that defense is really good, as you can already see. All right. Next game, Ole Miss for Georgia. This should be an easy one. I'll just go first. I think Georgia is going to give belt to ass. It's Kirby Smart. I'm sorry, Ole Miss. Great job being here. Lane Kiffin decided to ditch you guys. I feel horrible. I feel really bad. Their coach that you guys have, based on what I know and what Kirby Smart has done, I think he knows what to do. I think he's going to take advantage of it, and I think they're going to lose. I'm going to go ahead and say I got Georgia 35-13, something like that.
I like it. I'm with you. Ole Miss took care of business. They took care of Tulane. You know, they got their one victory in the playoffs, so they didn't lose to a lesser team with with no coach. Since Kiffin walked out that door. But this is Kirby Smart. This is when Georgia turns it on. I expect 42-10 shellacking of Ole Miss.
Ohio State getting missiles thrown at them from Iceland right now.
From Iceland, huh?
Look at the chat. Does anybody know what city that Georgia's playing in?
I have that information. Yes, it is being played. at the All-State Sugar Bowl, which isn't the Sugar Bowl in Atlanta. No, it's in New Orleans. New Orleans. It's at
Okay.
the Caesars Superdome.
Well, someone call them Creole police because there's assault about to happen. Georgia's about to walk all over them and lay a beat down on them like they ain't ready for. 42-10.
Damn. 42-10. I like it. I kind of thought it would be something like that, to be honest. That defense going to crush them, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Some interesting takes. And I'm actually kind of surprised on how we're divided on some of these games, specifically the Texas Tech Oregon game. I'm actually kind of surprised there. But yeah, so if you guys didn't hear, we're going live tomorrow during the Ohio State Miami game for a watch along. Come on over, hang out with us. We're gonna drop a panel. The StreamYard address will be there. The link, click it, come talk to us, talk college ball. Everybody's invited. Just keep it civil, please. No craziness like the spaces that Mystic has. No craziness here.
Hey, whoa.
Definitely. Joe Rist, what is up, my friend? Where is Joe Rist? Is he in Iceland or Alaska? Is that where he's at? Because he's somewhere there right now. I saw some photos. I thought he was in Alaska though. So I see a lot of people. We have 125 people watching the show right now. Please hit the like button. Come over to YouTube side, first of all. If you come to the YouTube side, click on the description. You have the link both for TFTG and at 4th and 10U. At 4th and 10U is my personal channel. It is this personal channel. It's our Mystic and Steve and myself's our personal channel for 4th and 10U Gametimegrind. Please come over there, hit the follow. When we get to 100 plus followers, we're going to have a giveaway. It's going to be a hat of a team of your choice for college football that you'll be getting. Once we get to 500 subscribers, then I might be looking at maybe a t-shirt, maybe a hoodie, or even a jersey. So we'll be talking more about that. Keep an eye out for that. But I want to get into the bottom line here, right? Get into the last thing we can talk about here. So we talked about the Ohio State-Miami game, right? That's probably one of the biggest matchups this weekend. I'd say it's bigger than Georgia and Ole Miss because we know how that's going to end. I'll say it's definitely bigger than Texas Tech and Oregon, to be honest. And then you look at the Alabama game. The Indiana-Alabama game is going to be really fun to watch, to be honest. I think that's going to be an interesting game. But I think the game that has the most hype right now is this Ohio State-Miami game. And there were some thoughts I had that I kind of wanted to leave for the bottom line to kind of put some stamp on why I'm taking Ohio State in this game and why I think it's going to make a difference. And I hate to do this to you, Steve, but this involves your new head coach. Okay. Brian Hartline has, I guess you could say that he's been demoted, but he really hasn't, right? He's still considered the offensive coordinator, but they're taking away call playing duties, right? And some other duties away from him so he can give 100% to the team, essentially, his full, attention, as well as handle business in his new role as the University of South Florida's new head coach, right? It's tough. And I think this was a perfect decision by Ryan Day, smart. But there's one thing that I think a lot of people are not understanding why this is such a huge decision. One thing that Ryan Day is that you may not know is that Ryan Day is an elite play caller. I repeat, elite play caller, right? He used to be the play caller for several years, leading his team deep into playoff contentions and stuff and against some of the best teams, right? We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Kirby Smart. Unfortunately, some player decided to knock out Marvin Harrison in the end zone, right, to change that whole game. But that game was bell to ass at that point, right? He's going to stretch Miami's defense from one side of the field to the other in the same drive. They're going to stretch safeties left, right. They're going to make defensive linemen or linebackers think twice, right? He's not just a good play caller. He can play call at an elite level. And I think that really makes the difference in this game. I think that what they're doing with both Brian Hartline and the backup offensive coordinator, I think it's smart. They're having the backup offensive coordinator basically in the box. Brian Hartline's going to be on the field with what he does best, and that is coaching his wide receivers one-on-one, giving them the feedback they need, inspiring them on the field is what is needed, right? And that's something Brian Hartline does at an elite level, in my opinion. That's why he's one of the best recruiters in the game, if not the best. It depends on the argument if you look at it. So for me, that's what is going to make the biggest difference in this game. I'm excited. I can't wait. He's going to show you stuff that you haven't seen yet from the Ohio State offense, right? You're going to see stuff that you didn't see under Brian Hartline when he was the offensive coordinator calling plays, right? You're not going to see. And the other thing that we didn't really talk about is the tight end room for Ohio State. They have 3 or 4 guys that honestly you could argue that can be a starter at any moment on this team, right? You got Max Clare and among other people that they have. So for me, it's going to be really come down to play calling and that defense. That the defensive line specifically, those are the 2 areas that I think are going to make the biggest difference in this game. What happens, we don't know. I'm betting on Ohio State, though. That's where I'm betting. What are your guys' bottom line takes? Doesn't have to be about what I just talked about, but for the whole show.
So I'm going to spend my bottom line taking a quick minute here. We talked about the Big Ten versus SEC and how that's all shaken up and how the Big Ten currently is undefeated in bowl play. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to tomorrow to start the slate of games leading into the big game everyone's excited about. We got Iowa playing Vanderbilt. And I am excited to watch that defense go against a Heisman candidate. I think that's going to be all telling. And again, Iowa goes ahead and they take care of business. I'm going to be unbearable. Them SEC guys are going to have to start recognizing Ollie. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And just a quick Big Ten bowl game update. USC is beating TCU right now 10-7. USC just scored an extra point. And it's currently in the second quarter, about 9 minutes and 57 mark. So just want to give an update there on that game. But yeah, I agree with you, Mystic. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, crazy. We're going to see what people have to say. What do you think, Steve? What are your final thoughts?
I think it falls in lines with my thoughts have kind of been. This is such an exciting time, and for college football, this time of year, where nothing can be left on the back burner. All chips have to be put onto the field. Everything you got has to be shown. These are going to be some great games.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see some more defensive games, which I love as a football fan. I love watching. I know some people don't like the low scoring games where it's just dudes running into each other all game. I love those games. And I think we're going to see a few of those games. So bottom line, get ready for some fun. Rather you drink or not, grab your nice ice cold of whatever you enjoy and kick back and get ready for some real old school football this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait, Steve. I really can't. Just so you know, you got Bleezy in the chat, Mystic, saying he tried to say go Vandy, but he kept saying candy for some reason because they're a candy ass team. That's why. And their candy ass quarterback.
Oh no!
To be honest.
Those
Just
bunch
kidding.
of jabronis. Oh wait,
But I'm going with Iowa in that game myself. I think their defense takes care of business. I think they do just enough to win that game, to be honest. They're usually pretty efficient when it comes to bowl games anyway. I'm going Iowa.
Best offensive line in the nation.
Yeah, and trust me, if I know a lot of people know what pro team we follow. We're Dolphin fans, right? I would love to have any of those offensive linemen drafted by our team. I'll take any one of them, the starting lineup. So,
Percent.
but you know, it'll be very interesting. One last thing, I almost forgot to mention this. Do you think the Miami fans are gonna, come out swinging, especially with the new L that they just took yesterday as well?
Ooh.
The L with the Freshman of the Year award. Did you see who it went to?
Mr. Julian Sand.
That's right. Not named Malachi Tony.
Ouch.
That's another L they're taking. I'm not really trying to talk smack. I was kind of a little bit surprised they gave it to him. You know, we'll see. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the game brings tomorrow. Everybody, check us out. We're going live right here on 4th and 10U, including TFTG and on X. We're going live at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 30 minutes before kickoff, I believe, because I believe that game starts at 7:30. Everybody's invited. Like I said, this will be a panel show. We'll be dropping the link. You guys can come up, hang out with us, talk college football. I'll probably be having a beer or two in my hand, watching the game. It'll be a New Year's Eve fun. When the game ends, I'm going to shut it down and, enjoy the rest of New Year's Eve with my family. But till then, we'll talk to you all later and check us out on the next episode. See you tomorrow.